You work 8 hours today, maybe more. You come home tired, eat something quick, and do it again tomorrow. For most of human history, this was not normal. This was not even close to normal. For roughly 300,000 years, your ancestors worked less than you do right now. That sounds impossible. It isn't. In 1963, anthropologist Richard Lee lived among the Jew/Hoansi people of the Kalahari Desert and tracked exactly how many hours they spent finding food. The number he found was around 15 hours a week. Not 15 hours a day, 15 hours a week. The rest of their time went to rest, storytelling, childcare, and simply sitting together. Then, about 12,000 years ago, something changed. Humans started planting seeds instead of gathering wild food. They started staying in one place instead of following the herds. This is the moment history calls the agricultural revolution. You were taught it was progress, a great leap forward. But here's the twist almost nobody tells you. Agriculture may have been the single worst decision our species ever made. Let's look at the evidence. Not opinions. Bones. When researchers examine human skeletons from before and after the shift to farming, the pattern is brutal. Height dropped. Bone density dropped. Teeth show new patterns of decay that barely existed before. Anthropologist George Armalego spent decades studying skeletal remains from populations that transitioned to agriculture, and his research kept turning up the same story. Average height fell by several centimeters. Signs of malnutrition increased. Diseases that need dense populations to spread, like tuberculosis, appear far more often after farming begins. Why would growing your own food make you weaker? Because a hunter-gatherer diet was wildly diverse. Dozens of plants, multiple sources of protein. If one food source failed, there were others. A farming diet was the opposite. One or two crops, grown again and again on the same soil, meant nutrition narrowed to whatever that crop could provide. Wheat gives you carbohydrates. It does not give you everything else your body needs. When the harvest failed, there was no backup plan, just hunger. Geographer and author Jared Diamond called agriculture the worst mistake in the history of the human race in a widely read 1987 essay, and the skeletal evidence has only strengthened that argument since. He pointed out something simple but devastating. Farming can feed more people per acre than foraging can, but feeding more people is not the same as feeding them well. So let's reconstruct a single day before farming existed. You wake up naturally when your body is ready, not when a schedule demands it. Sunlight is your alarm. You spend part of the morning walking with a few members of your group, watching for tracks, checking which plants are ripe. It isn't rushed. There's conversation. There's teaching, as older members show younger ones which routes are safe and which are not. By early afternoon, you likely have enough food for the day. The rest of the time is yours. You rest. You make tools. You sit by a fire and listen to stories that carry the memory of your people forward, the way anthropologist Polly Wiesner documented among the Jew/Hoansi, where nighttime firelight conversation focused overwhelmingly on stories, not complaints or gossip, strengthening social bonds across the whole group. Now, picture the day after agriculture takes hold. You wake before sunrise. There's a field waiting, and it does not care how you feel. Crops need tending every single day, not just when food runs low. A bad season means starvation for everyone, not just you. Village life packs people closely together, and with domesticated animals living nearby too, diseases jump from livestock to humans for the first time at scale. Populations grow, yes, but so do hierarchies. For the first time, some people accumulate more surplus grain than others. That surplus becomes power. That power becomes inequality, something rare in small mobile foraging groups where nobody could hoard more food than they could carry. Here's the part that should unsettle you the most. Hunter-gatherers were not aware they were missing out on progress. They didn't feel primitive. Researcher and author James Sussman, who spent years living with and studying the Jew/Hoansi, has argued that their relationship with work looked less like scarcity and more like abundance, precisely because their wants were few and their environment reliably met them. Farming didn't emerge because life without it was unbearable. In most known cases, it emerged where population pressure or environmental change left communities with fewer easy options. And once it started, it was almost impossible to reverse. Because farming supports more mouths, and more mouths need more farming. You didn't choose this life. It chose you thousands of generations ago, and you inherited the momentum. Now think about your own week. The alarm you didn't choose. The job that exists because someone long ago could no longer just walk into the forest and gather dinner. The stress of deadlines. The disconnection from your own hunger signals. Eating on someone else's clock instead of your body's. None of that is a personal failure. It's an inheritance, thousands of years old, built the moment humans traded flexibility for control and abundance for accumulation. Archaeological sites tell the same story around the world independently. In the Fertile Crescent, in China, in Mesoamerica, wherever farming took hold, skeletal remains show the same decline in health. Even as populations grew larger, bigger was not better. Bigger was just bigger. So was agriculture really progress? In terms of numbers, yes. More humans exist today because of it than could have ever existed as foragers. But for the individual person, waking up each day to work a field that determines whether their children eat, something was lost that never fully came back. A kind of freedom measured not in wealth, but in hours you controlled yourself. You work 8 hours today, maybe more, but somewhere in your bones is a memory older than farming, older than cities, older than clocks, a memory of a version of you who worked 15 hours a week and called that a full life.